It is now April the 30th in Vietnam, and the country is marking the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War and the unification of the country. The US had backed South Vietnam while the North was supported by China and the Soviet Union in a proxy fight of the Cold War. The conflict ended on April 30th, 1975, when North Vietnamese soldiers took control of the South Vietnamese capital, Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City. Communist forces stormed through the gates of the presidential palace in Saigon. You can see here the scramble for the last US helicopter flying out of Saigon from the roof of the US embassy. The US launched the largest helicopter evacuation in history, flying their personnel and many allies out of the city. The American war effort to prevent the spread of communism had failed. And thousands of South Vietnamese attempted to flee by either helicopter or boat as communist forces closed in on Saigon. The main airport's runway was destroyed, making flights out of the country impossible. The 20-year war ended with more than 3 million soldiers and civilians killed. A military parade is set to be held on Wednesday, commemorating the deaths of the millions who died in the conflict that exposed the limits of American power abroad. Tony Cheng spoke to some of those who survived and reports now from Ho Chi Minh City.
The deserted US Marine base at Khe Sanh, close to the Ho Chi Minh Trail. One of the biggest battles of the Vietnam War. Thousands of dead and wounded on both sides. After which the Americans permanently withdrew. In the air, the US dominated. But that didn't stop Colonel Nguyen. His MiG-21 was slower, outgunned and outnumbered by the US F-4 Phantoms. But he says he was never afraid.
We had to fight. There was no other choice. Our forces were limited, our training was short, and we couldn't compare to the Americans. But we had our determination to rely on, because it was a matter of life and death.
At the National Military Cemetery, a younger generation pay their respects. Few families were untouched by the conflict. Compared to the 58,000 American soldiers who died in the Vietnam War, the sacrifice on the Vietnamese side was far greater, with those killed numbering in the millions. And even the luxury of a grave was not open to some. To this date, more than 200,000 Vietnamese soldiers are still missing in action. Civilians suffered most, 2 million dead and many more injured, as people tried to flee the fighting. Jan Thi Bae was just 3 years old when a rocket killed her mother and 5 siblings, and took her legs. At the end of the war, there wasn't much to celebrate.
At the moment, I felt like I had lost everything. My mother was gone, my siblings were gone. I felt completely abandoned.
But in the final days of April 1975, it became clear the war was lost, and Saigon descended into chaos as thousands tried to flee. On the 30th, North Vietnamese troops entered the city, and the hidden army of guerrillas could finally step out of the shadows.
I felt very proud because our country was now free from invaders. The South was liberated and the country reunified. Despite enduring tremendous losses, the Vietnamese people had achieved a complete victory.
As the tanks rolled through the gates of the then presidential palace, victory was theirs. Soldiers who'd fought off the French and the Americans, racing forwards to fly the flag of a united Vietnam. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Ho Chi Minh City.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.